Now you might notice this one here is broken. Yeah, it's broken, but I'm going to repair it. As you can see, I've got my glider. Now, I want to have a bit of a chat today about my experience with this particular RC aircraft. It's called the XK A800. That's the model. It's just called an XK A800. It's basically a glider. It's just a foamy. And it's powered by a very small motor. I don't know the specifications, but it's a pretty cheap aircraft. Now, maybe you should start with a bit of a story. I was first introduced into like the RC plane hobby when I was like 14 or 15. So that was in about 1998, 1999. I was collecting like model flight magazines, all this kind of stuff. And back in those days, pretty much all the aircraft were powered by petrol, I suppose. They were just like internal, really tiny internal combustion engines. You can still buy them today. Like it's not a big deal. They're still around. So for my 15th, but that's my birthday or Christmas, I really wanted a plane. I was like super into it. I was just into everything airplanes, just super keen on it. And when I was at school, I wanted to become a pilot. And, when I thought that wasn't realistic, I wanted to do aircraft maintenance engineering when I left school. None of that came to pass, but I still really love aircraft and planes and flight. I know quite a little bit, like sort of amateur level stuff about aircraft and principles of flight and that kind of stuff. So it never went away. Anyway, yeah, so mum bought me this airplane, and back in those days you had to buy the engine and you had to buy the kit and you had to put it all together and glue and all this big drama. And the transmitter, it was pretty expensive and it was a big deal. And to be honest, I don't think I was as grateful as I probably should have been. Anyway, there was stuff going on in my life and I wasn't dealing with life very well, and I thought, getting all this stuff was a good way to escape it all. And surprise, surprise, it didn't really help. Anyway, so I moved out to Mudgee, live with my dad, and obviously had my plane with me, and there's an airfield out there, and I think that might have been the reason why I wanted this aircraft for, like as a gift. I thought, oh, this would be really cool. So I found a mentor out there, and he was awesome. Like, he was in his like late mid-60s or early 70s, and he like mentored me, and he was a really nice guy. And I went around to his house. Like, my dad dropped me off, and this guy like taught me all about how to put the plane together, and he put everything together for me, and I was just like, man, this is so cool. So we go to like take this bird up. We went out to the airfield, like petrol in the fuel lines. The engine was going really well, and he's like, look, I'll take it up, I'll do the maiden test flight, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, went to go to take it up, like increase the throttle, we get it up in the air. He's sort of, flying it around, doing a few passes, and all of a sudden he like starts to panic, and he's like, I've lost control. And long story short, the plane goes off into the distance. We lose sight of it. It hits a fence, basically like pretty badly damaged. And, obviously he's so apologetic. As it turned out, what happened? The battery for the receiver in the plane died. It had died. So he'd lost control of the aircraft. And so that plane never flew again, which is really sad. So that was my first plane. I can't remember any other. I have never had a plane since. I've had those little helicopters you can buy, the little ones with the two blades are like counter rotate, so it's all like stabilized. But this is my first plane really since that fateful day of oh my gosh, anyway, it was really sad. But since that time, I've got a puppy on me. I've got a little pumpkin. He was barking before, so you got to come on my lap. So since that time, technology's improved so much, and now we have really, really good electric RC planes. Now you might notice this one here is broken. Yeah, it's broken, but I'm going to repair it. I'm going to put the air conditioning on. So I put this baby together, and it was really simple. Super, super simple. All I basically had to do was charge the battery. There's a little USB charger that comes with this. So it comes with this little baby, and there's a couple of lights in here. So when you plug it into to charge the battery, here it is. It's only a 300 milliamp hour, so it's tiny. It's great. This isn't a review for this product. I mean, I'm just sharing my experiences. I mean, if you want to look it up, just go A800 and there's like comprehensive, like instruction, builds and flying around, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, anyway, yeah, it's got a great little charger. Just plugged it in for, like whatever it was, less than an hour. There's two lights that come on. The yellow one blinks. There's a red one that just stays on. And then, yeah, yellow and green. When the green one stops blinking and it's just on, that's charged. So anyway, like basically put all together, bound the two receiver and the transmitter together, boom, up in the air. It was awesome. So I'm sort of really apprehensive. Like when I first started, I was like, oh my God, I don't want this thing to crash. I'm just so worried about it. So there was a little bit of wind. So I just sort of did a bit of just a hand launch, just without any power, nothing, just sort of tossed it up and, like super ginger. I was like, just so careful with it. I just thought this thing's going to break. Oh my gosh, I'm just going to like relive my, days of being a 15-year-old all over again. This is going to be awful. So threw it and then caught it and, got a little bit more confident. So then I just threw it and, just basically glided to the ground. So my confidence was there. I thought, okay, this thing can fly. It's not going to just like smash into the ground. It's going to fly. I've got my battery charge. Everything's going to be okay. So I apply power, do a couple little passes. Seems to be going all right. There was one landing which was a little bit hard, and I did this to the wing here. Tried to repair it, didn't work. So it's still, but it didn't seem to affect the subsequent flights after that. So I was like super impressed. Anyway, the next flight, I was like beaming with confidence, did a few passes around. I was like actually pretty happy. I was probably flying for a couple of minutes. And then it got a bit far away and I went to turn it around and basically just, plowed it into the ground. Not the most exciting story. That's what happens with RC planes. Sometimes you crash them. So this plane was only $100, and the beauty of it is, you can glue them back together. I'm going to make a trip out to Bunnings this morning. I didn't explain what happened the first time around. So in this aircraft, you can see the focus. If you have a look on the top, you can see that white strip of glue. That's holding in the receiver and the servos and everything as one piece. And the reason why it plowed into the ground the first time and I did the damage to the wings was because that popped off. And in essence, when I was trying to pull up on the aileron, on the elevator, which is this push rod here, the whole thing was lifting up and it wasn't stuck. It wasn't stuck in, so it must have come loose. You can see it's loose now. And when I was lifting up on the elevator, the rudder was turning as well, and you couldn't separate them. So I didn't know what was going on at the time. I was like so frustrated. But as it turns out, all I needed to do was get that fixed in place. Now I didn't want to like cut stuff apart and all this sort of jazz. So what I did, because the wings just mount on the top there, I thought, why not just put something underneath it that the wings are going to press down on? And that's what I did. I found some polystyrene, and yeah, I used that, and it just sort of compresses down. And the next flight, that's why I could get the next flight in, because I was able to fix that problem. If I hadn't been able to fix that problem, I just obviously wouldn't have been confident to get it up. So I just like jammed it in there, and it held them all down. I mean, it's not the best way to fix it, but I just couldn't think of any other way aside from like trying to pull out this whole thing. It's just so tiny and fiddly. Anyway, when I crashed this baby and the nose came off, I mean, the nose was like separated like this. It hadn't like completely pulled out. And I put the battery back in. I thought, I just want to test everything and all the control surfaces work. But then when I put the throttle on, the propeller did nothing. I was like, no! Somehow it's like broken the motor. As it turned out, yesterday afternoon when I unscrewed the wings from the top, I noticed that, I need to backtrack a little. When I put it away, I was fiddling around with it, the whole thing came off. Like the power cord, the lead for the motor had come off the receiver or the controller there. So when I came back inside yesterday afternoon, I took off the wings and basically just put it back on there, and then I attached the battery, and lo and behold, everything still works. So when I was at the park, I'm assuming that it just had pulled it out enough so it wasn't making electrical connection anymore, and that's why it wasn't working. So yeah, so my job today is to go down to Bunnings, get some glue, put the nose back together. If you look at it, it looks a little bit off. It looks like it's pointing that way a bit, and I'm not sure if it's just because of the impact, but yeah, I'm not sure whether I should try to adjust it and make it a little bit more centered. If I do that, that's what that looks like on that side, a little bit off. That's all supposed to be like in there like that. This lighting is awful. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I should just put it back in as normal, because that was how it was glued. Like if you look at it on the inside, it's not glued to center, like it's stuck on the right hand side. So I don't know, maybe I should, I don't know, I'll think about it, and then I'll put it all together, glue it all together, and then hopefully it works. So this is my present from Haley for Christmas.
What do you think it is?
Oh wow. Cool, it's the plane. Gosh, I hope this one works better than the last one.
I know, I ordered it before, but things went wrong.
Oh. Well, that's cool. So I'm trying my best to look after it. Again, I thought it'd be better off just spending, like $10 on some decent polystyrene glue and try to repair this baby and get it back up in the air, rather than, got two other options: buy another one, which is another $100, or never fly this thing again, which would be really sad, wouldn't it? So, yeah, really sad. So I'm going to go and get some glue, put it all together, and maybe I'll upload another video of me flying it. That would be pretty cool. Maybe get Haley to come out, but I don't think I should be as ambitious as I was last time. It was really sad. I should have maybe just tried to stick to just doing some really basic passes and, not going too wild with things. Not that I was trying to do loops or anything, but I think I was just maybe trying to be a bit too aggressive. Anyway, looking good. Let's repair this baby.